Here we are on a Wednesday afternoon, the 21st of February 2024, for the 32nd edition of A Podful of Saints for the 2023-24 season. Already smiling there, we have Lee Wood.
Good afternoon, David. Good afternoon, Jacob. How are we, boys? We good?
Very well. And the always smiling, of course, Jake Ellacott.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Lee. Hello, everyone.
Right, we've got glorious times to talk about. Two games. First of all, one at Twerton Park, and then last night at Crabble down in Kent. We'll start with Twerton Park 1, away to Bath City, where it's a glorious day for the Saints. A piece of history was made as we successfully stopped Bath City from recording a club record fourth successive 1-0 league win. And we went to great lengths to achieve it as well. You two were both there. You get performances sometimes, but you don't quite hit the button. But Saturday, everything went wrong. Was it my eyes? But I thought we looked atrocious.
Atrocious. Such a strong word. We're allowed to lose games. We're allowed to lose games. Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, there were lamentable points of that game, wasn't there? You know, individual errors from key personnel who you wouldn't normally expect. But we deserved nothing. We got what we deserved. But to say it was atrocious, I don't know. It was very much a game of ifs and buts, wasn't it? You know, Clarkey should have done better with that header in the first half he had from about 8 yards out. If that goes in, if we get awarded that penalty in the first half when the foul on Jeffers, if Barry doesn't make that slip, if MJ doesn't, miscontrol the back pass, it's ifs and buts. But ultimately, a loss is a loss, and that is exactly what we deserved. One thing I would say is that Bath are a very good outfit. They're experienced. The tempo was good. They squeezed high. They advanced in numbers, and I don't think we were quite ready for it. You've hit it exactly on the head there, Tavs. Something just didn't quite click. I thought Banton was off colour. I thought Francis Clark was found wanting for pace and position at times, which is unlike him, really. But the thing is, what amazes me is that some of our fans were losing their mind on the terraces. They were absolutely losing their mind. I think you've got to sort of rein it in a touch, because we're in a better position to recover from a game like that now than I think we ever have been from any point this season so far. It was very easy for us to go into our shells after that sort of performance. And we could have capitulated, but we haven't. I think that shows great character. And you and Jake are going to dissect the ins and outs of the goals, I'm sure. But whilst it was poor and it wasn't a great game, I don't think there's any reason for us to rip up the blueprint of what's got us here so far this season.
It's funny, Jake, wasn't it? Because you look back at it, and as Lee said, we got what we deserved, which was nothing. But you look at all the three goals that Bath got; they were errors. We didn't actually. Well, they did create them to a degree themselves, but my God, we gave them a helping hand, and without that help, had we got that penalty, had Clarkey stuck the header away, which he certainly should have got on target, you think, although he might not have seen it to the last second, because I think Francis Clark went up in front of him. Things could have gone our way, maybe.
Absolutely. I think it's fair to say that it just wasn't our afternoon, was it? It was just one of those days where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. The only thing that didn't quite go wrong is we didn't get someone sent off. So that's a positive, I suppose. But everything else didn't. And it was just one of those days. I think it's possible for it to be a case of Bath playing really well, and I thought they were really well organised, and also a case of us giving them those goals. I think it's possible to play. It just was. I think disappointing thing about some of their play, I think especially if you looked at their highlights of their game against Dartford a week before, Dartford did create openings, but that first half for Bath, they pressed really high. They caused lots of problems. And they did that against us. And it, like you said, Dave, it almost felt like we weren't quite fully prepared for their style of play and how they were set up. So I think that's probably a misstep there, unfortunately. And yeah, I think most Saints fans that watch the game, I think we're happy to say that we lost to the better team, even if we did give them at least 2.5 for the goals. you've got to feel for Dan Barry, Michael Johnson, and even probably Michael Clark for mistakes. But we've got to shake ourselves off, dust ourselves off. How many games were we unbeaten? 8. We weren't going to go unbeaten until the end of the season, I don't think. And it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it just wasn't a good day at all down in Twerton Park.
That second goal looked bad from Michael Johnson's point of view as he played an air kick, but it was a pitch. I'd been warned by a contact down at Bath. For weeks he's been saying that pitch looks good. It's not Clarence Park in many ways. It looks good, but it's bobbly. It's a lot bobblier than you expect. And it was a bad bounce that did him in. People can't do anything about that unless they're kicking straight through it rather than at a slight angle. That's going to happen. We've seen it happen to England goalkeepers. It does happen. And the poor old keeper gets all the flack for it, but it's not really his fault. But looking at Bath, a scout had told me Ewan Clark. He said, watch out for Ewan Clark. And he got their Man of the Match award. But the ones that really caught the eye, wasn't it? It was Dave Boggins. Well, he looks like Dave Boggins. Tom Smith, long-haired, ginger-haired guy in the middle of the park. He scored their first goal. Nice finish after that unfortunate slip by Dan Barry when he fell over. And you mentioned Francis Clark had a tough time there, Lee, and he did. He was up against Richard Chin. We saw him early in the season playing for Dartford, and he was on fire on Saturday. And Aidan really had a tough time keeping him under control, and I don't think he really won in the end. And Chin actually got a hamstring injury in their Bath win last night against Truro City. Why couldn't he have done it the week before? Bath won again last night. It's about 5 straight wins. Difficult to see them not making the playoffs from what we've seen.
Yeah, they're a very well-drilled, well-organised outfit, aren't they? But I think given our predictions of the Bath game last week, I think we were getting a bit carried away. Not necessarily, playing down Bath's quality, but more sort of bigging ours up. And I think we got found wanting in take out of the equation the mistakes. I think Bath created enough on Saturday. And they've got a very, very experienced squad. I say experienced, not in terms of league experience, but certainly working together as a unit over the course of time. We've got some good players there. Yes, you mentioned Chin giving Francis Clark an absolutely run around in the first half in particular. That left-hand side was an absolute problem. Zane was getting outnumbered, outmuscled, outrun at times as well. It just didn't click. But Bath are going to be there, no doubt about it. And I think you'd like to think that we've learned from that game to move on. And Meakes was after a response. He got it in some ways, but I think you have to look at Bath and think, do we really want to go back to their place later on in the season? Not really.
Well, they completed their third double over us. We've done it twice to them. We've won the last 4 times at Twerton Park. Having to go there for a playoff game if we have to, I don't think we'd be too bothered. We love the place, we love the stadium, and playoff is totally different to it. It's just a cup game. I don't think that makes a lot of difference. One thing that disappointed me, apart from our passing, which was really poor, which we didn't expect, that was really poor. Start a game, we try and take the sting out of it. So you get Michael Johnson walking up the pitch with the ball, and to me, it's almost arrogant we play like that. I'm not going to go at him because no doubt he's taught to play. And it takes any momentum out your play. Suddenly your goalkeeper's 30 yards from goal, 25 yards from goal. What's he going to do? He's going to play a short pass or he's going to whack it. You're not really building anything properly. It's too slow. And Bath played a very high game. They were within about 10 yards of that centre circle. And given the accuracy of Jono's kicking and the speed of our wingers, we could have actually got behind them a lot more, I thought. And we could have just tried that tactic a bit more. And we didn't. And we had the chance to change it. And maybe we let ourselves down a bit there. Or maybe it's just Bath was so good at shutting us down all around the pitch.
I think a bit of both, wasn't it, really? I think also certain players were off it. Like Lee said, I thought it was notable Zane Banton had a quiet afternoon. And also, for me, especially in that second half, was we seemed to really focus to play towards our right, Bath City's left. And it was all towards Danny Greenslade at left back, the number 3. And as Pete said, he had everything covered all afternoon. And we didn't seem to really learn from that. We kept going down that side. Every time he had it covered, whoever it was down there, he had them in their pocket, to be honest, all afternoon. And we just sort of lacked again. And sort of like something we've not really had an issue with in recent weeks, the style of play. But again, we didn't get many shots away, did we, at all? I mean, the one shot we had on target, pretty much, Shaun Jeffers scored. Funny that. But apart from that, and it's half a chance, and it was actually someone taking half a chance, half an opening. But aside from that, we didn't get shots away, did we? So even when we got into reasonable positions, we just couldn't. So all round, I think just a really off day for everyone, and just one of those games that we've not had one of these performances in a long while. So I think we have to remember that and celebrate that it has been such a long time, and these things happen. Even the best teams in this league have these performances and results.
It's funny, isn't it, about the Jeffers thing? We've said it all season. He's there to get goals, not run around like a headless chicken. And in the last minute, he got the best goal of the game. Lovely strike on return there. And the first goal, of course, was it Jose Casagrandes conceded in his 5 or 6 games for Bath. We still don't know if he's a good goalkeeper or not because he wasn't really tested, as has been mentioned. Right, that was Jerry Gill's 299th game as Bath City manager. So I toast him for his 300th on Tuesday.
You in that mug. You love that mug, don't you, Dave?
And they kept that run going with a 2-1 win over Truro. Truro squandered a great chance in the last few seconds, apparently, to rescue the game. Right, anything else to say about Twerton Park?
I think we should mention really good away support. I thought really good support there on Saturday. Yeah. Well over 100. Really good support. And I think a lot of Saints fans enjoyed a nice day out in Bath, didn't they, Lee?
Tavs, this will be an absolute shock to you, but Jake and I do get recognised, bizarrely, because of the pod. Last Saturday was just by far and away the most bizarre encounter we've had. So we're in this godforsaken pub called the Cannon, I believe it was. Of all the lovely pubs there are in Bath, we chose the worst, the darkest, grimmest place. And there was a fella there at the bar drinking all by himself, Bath City fan. There's, are you two those fellas from the St Albans City pod? Jake's, I mean, he was proper made up about that. But it turns out everyone watches the pod. So I'll say hello to Steve, I think his name was. So thank you for scaring the crap out of Jake. But yeah, Tavs, you've hit it on the head, mate. We love going to Bath. We travel in numbers. The weather could have been a bit kinder this time around, but apart from that, mate, it was a fantastic day out, off the pitch at least.
Talking of kind comments about the podcast, it's great when former players, managers, and current players, watch it. And one of them called me over on Saturday and said how much he enjoyed it. And what you mustn't ever do, though, is get kind about one player and be positive to him all the time, even if he has a bad game. But anyway, Joe Partington, Player of the Year.
Very good.
Oh, mate. Good old Joe.
One other thing, Saturday, 2 bookings for us. George Hoddle and Aidan Francis Clark. Oh, both of those were extremely harsh. And those two can count themselves unlucky. Then we come on to last night's game at Dover, where there's no bookings on either side, which is the first time that's happened in one of our league games since October 2022. So we move from Somerset, is it? Bath now? Keep moving start from county to county, down to Dover in Kent. Everybody expected us to bounce back quite convincingly. And first half, we were certainly on top. Dominated, I think, might be a bit strong, but it was certainly on top and controlling the game. But full credit to Dover for the way they came back in the second half. And I thought they gave us quite a few problems, Jake, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought they did for a spell in the second half. I say first half was almost too easy, to be honest, the way that Dover were letting us play. Looking at their fans' form afterwards, their fans sort of had similar. They were saying, St Albans must have had 75%, 80% of the ball that first half. They sort of just sat in and let us play, didn't they? But they didn't really sit in either, because the amount of balls they let us cross in, not fully clear, etc. And I think it was important we did get that goal from Shaun Jeffers. Another brilliantly taken goal, it has to be said. Really smart finish. And we probably should have added a few more in that first half. But then the second half, Dover came out really well. And for me, the moment that really it came and went for Dover was a very good triple save from Michael Johnson.
just in a few seconds was it he did those saves. The tip onto the crossbar was quite
Mm.
magnificent. But before half time, they had a great chance. Young George Wilkinson, ball was cut back to him and he put it over the bar. You mentioned Shaun Jeffers' finish. Beautiful, wasn't it? It was just a goal score. You just stroked the ball into the corner. None of his blasting, leaning back and blasting it. Just stroked it beautifully. Could have had more. Glancing header, superbly saved by
Mm.
Daniel Ginadu in the Dover goal. I wonder if he's related to Toby Ginadu, centre half, played for us a few years back. I would imagine he probably is. And he looked quite a good keeper, quite useful. And Shaun had another one cleared off the line, put another one over the bar. But there were chances there for us to win by more.
There were Jack James hit the bar and also had quite a decent hit, well saved. I think Jon Jeffers also had another sort of one-on-one save he did as well, didn't he? And a lot of the Dover fans afterwards were saying their keeper was their man of the match. I think, which probably a bit of a slight on the rest of their team, to be fair. But I thought we had the chances, and it should have been more than one. You know, MJ made those really good saves, but at the end of the day, we won. But yeah, it should have been 2 or 3 clear in the end, I thought. But like Lee was hinting at during the Bath discussion, you know, we did come back from what could have been quite a bit of a blow, that defeat against Bath. We came back and picked up 3 points against Dover on, you know, what could easily have been a banana skin despite their league position.
Well, you remember Dean Williams, Lee, former City player, after the game texted me and said, take a 1-0 win at Dover quite happily. And that pretty much sums it up after losing on Saturday.
Yeah, Dino, listen, he knows his onions, doesn't he? He knows what it takes to become a successful team. And it's got to be consistency, but also it's how you react when you come to those downfalls as well. I listened to it. I had the pleasure of enduring the dulcet tones of Mr. J. Seabrook on Radio Verulam or Mix 92.6, whatever it's called now. Spoke very highly of the travelling support. So a little shout out to all you boys who did travel down there. He made comment about the missed chances in the first half, especially Shaun had a couple. Mentioned that the pitch maybe have played a part in that as well. But look, I wasn't there, so you boys are far more qualified to sort of talk about it. But what I will say is that Dino is absolutely spot on. You know, a 1-0 win, as ugly as it may be, is welcome given the fact of what was sort of served up at Bath. And I go back to the point that it's a sign of a good side about how you react. And at this stage of the season, I know it's very, very cliche and we're only just tipping into March, but surely, boys, it is the results that count as much as anything else now.
As for Dover, Jake, spirited as their second half performance was, they've only won 3 of their 34 league games. 12 points adrift of Taunton outside the playoff places. Do you think they've had it?
Yes, if we're honest, I think they're in a real position to struggle now. And also, what was noticeable last night was how small the crowd was as well. What, 410 for a club that were in the National League not long ago. It's a real shame to see them drop so far, and I suppose it's a bit of a warning shot of what happens when you stay in the National League a few years and maybe outspend you know what you can. So I think they're doomed now for the season. But like Lee says, you know, we got through it. It could have been tricky. Long ago, we've known Saints teams to really struggle against sides that are in the bottom 6, bottom 7. We talk about this a lot, don't we? That, you know, previously we've seen Saints teams come to heavy defeats. I mean, about this time last year, wasn't it, when we lost to Hungerford 3-0 away from home on a Tuesday night? And they were pretty much rock bottom of the league then, weren't they? So a little bit different this year. And all I care about is getting the 3 points. But, you know, I'm glad that it wasn't just a lucky win. We did deserve those 3 points, I thought.
We didn't have as many, anywhere near as many supporters of Crabble as we did at Burton Park, but they tried making noise. But what about those Dover supporters? A load of youngsters like ours, Jake. They really tried hard to stick with it, didn't they? And once they went a goal down, their chants were brilliant. They took the humorous side of it, the black side of humour, and almost accepted their fate. But then they rallied again in the second half, and there's something to cheer. But anyway, yes, congratulations to our supporters for making as much noise as they did. 2 changes to the team last night. Sam Brown came back in and Dom Hutchinson came back in. Well, what do you make of those changes, Jake?
I was quite surprised actually to see Dom Hutchinson come in for Mitch, but I suppose Mitch probably does need a bit of a rest sometimes, doesn't he? He does run about a lot, unlike the other striker we have. And I thought Dom Hutchinson, I thought Dom Hutchinson, he did okay. What I thought about good was him about he stayed out wide. He had a bit more balance and whip to the team, but on the counterpoint, his final ball and sort of in and around the box wasn't the greatest, especially first half. I thought he got into some really good positions and the final ball just wasn't there. But then on the other point, he did get the assist for Shaun Jeffers. So not too bad. And yeah, Sam Brown coming in. I thought he played well. It's been a little while, hasn't he, since he's in the side, but I don't think he did much wrong actually. And considering the injury he's been suffering from, I thought he put in a pretty brave performance actually.
Assuming Michael Clark, who came off after 70 minutes, is not seriously injured, and it doesn't look like he is. You got the likes of Akambi and Hamid who weren't on the bench. Suddenly, Jon Meakes and Harry Wheeler have got quite a squad to choose from.
And, the aforementioned player of the year, Joe Partington, should be back soon as well, possibly for Saturday. He was on the side cheering on the boys, and at the end he was loving it as well. So hopefully he'll be back for Saturday. And I think he could be a really important returnee. But it's great to have these options in the squad. Not long ago we were talking about having half a team injured and not having any options and struggling for players. Now we've got so many options, we're struggling to get them all in the squad. It's brilliant, and it gives the management some options because we've got games coming up which will be tricky. Welling will be difficult, and it gives them the opportunity to change things a little bit and see how it goes. And I think that's really important going into the running.
Right, changes. Can you see any for Saturday, Lee? We're at home to Welling United under our old friend these days, Rod Stringer.
Yeah, Partington comes in for Jeffers up front, obviously, man of match performance straight off the cuff. I do. We do jest, but I do think that Partington is going to come back in. I think that even at this level, Aidan Francis Clark is more than an adequate signing that we made, but there's no replacement for organisation and leadership, especially at the back. And he established up a really good rapport with the likes of Clarkey and indeed Aidan for Francis Clark as well. So I think he comes in. You've got to look at the likes of, is Hoddle, is he feeling it? Is he feeling, the extra sort of run of games that he's had? Blackman, you're looking for him to sort of come in and make an impact. I think Zane, I wasn't at the game last night, so I'm only sort of really going on what I've heard on the radio and what I've seen at Bath in person. Zane, is he a bit tired? Is he a bit leggy? Or was it just a bad game that he had? So again, there are options there, but as Jake alluded to, fellas, 2 months ago, we might have got a game because that's how thin the squad was and that's how bad things were. But now we've got, a spoiler riches because the thing is, we've recruited well and no one's panicked, and you forgot all about Hutchinson coming in, and with lots of Hamid just can't even get a gig on the bench now. So that's a good thing to have, and that's going to build momentum and that's going to build a unity. So, and I said this ages ago, everyone's going to play their part. Everyone will be wanted and needed to perform at some point. And to be honest with you, Tabs, whoever comes in, I'm really comfortable with them having an input and making a mark on the game on Saturday.
Yeah. Fair point. Zane Banton's had a few mentions there. We should toast him. Last night was his 250th game for the club. Oh, no, won't toast me a bit. He had a nightmare at Bath. So well done, Zane. And we look forward to your next 250. And he's got 54 goals as well, which is not a bad thing. In fact, him and Jeffers between them have got 153 goals, which means Shaun Jeffers is on 99. Are Welling United the team to stop him getting his 100th?
No. I hope he scores a nice little hat
what
trick.
about that? What about that result last night? 4-1 against whoever it was they beat, Worthing.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Quite an interesting game by all accounts. But then two of their goals came in their 100th and the 101st minute, pretty much. By all accounts, sounds like Worthing were doing their usual of let's go all out we don't really care about the defence, which normally happens against us, actually. And yeah, Welling managed to add those 2 late goals. But we have to say that result and their recent displays is because of the return of Rod Stringer to the league, who we haven't seen for a few years.
Yeah.
He's certainly a character, I think it's fair to say. He's Marmite. Some supporters might like him. I think many supporters don't like him. Saints fans will know him from when he managed Chelmsford and how Ian Allenson beat him every year. So I think, he's turned things around already at Welling. He's pulled themselves back into, a real battle for staying up. And it's going to be really, we say this every week, but I think it's going to be a really difficult game on Saturday.
You talk about their late goals yesterday. They're all the more praiseworthy because they'd had Anthony Grant sent off. So it was quite an achievement. And Rod Stringer's made changes, but the side that started last night for them, 5 of the players who started in the 0-0 draw against us at Parkview Road early in the season. And our side last night had 6 players who started in that game. So the changes are pretty even in that respect. Promises to be quite an interesting game. It really does.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as comprehensive as people may think looking at the table. Rod Stringer, he is many, many, many things, most of them bad. However, he will galvanise a group of blokes in a changing room. I know him a little when he used to be manager at Braintree when I used to work for Lee Harding. The thing is, he will get a response, and he's a very good manager. He's well respected from the people that actually sort of play for him, and I don't think we will be underestimating the task at hand. If we start looking at tables and forms and stuff now, we're going to come unstuck. Rod Stringer's sides are not to be toyed with at all. I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be cagey. I think what will more likely happen, they're going to get in our faces from the off. But I think over the course of time, we'll run them ragged and we'll try and stretch them and we'll try and use our pace in behind. And hopefully the cream will rise to the top. However, we've got to earn that right first. We've got to sort of put in the hard yards. I do see us winning, but it's not going to be pretty. And I don't think it's going to be by much either.
While we're on the subject of Welling United, they submitted plans for a new stadium, and my first impression of it is you wouldn't want to touch it with a barge pole. What do you two make of it?
But you're not a fan of any new ground, so it's
to be
like
fair,
grounds that are falling apart with rats in the bloody loft and stuff. So it's.
I actually do agree with Dave on this one. If you look at the photos online, if you put Welling United Stadium, they're certainly something.
They're not even photos.
If you live in the apartments in the ground, you've got a great view of the pitch. That's all I'll say.
Well, the best ones would be the back window facing away from the pitch, wouldn't it?
Very good.
Yeah.
It's funny actually because next season, if this gets permission. To start building it, and you've got to hope for the sake of Welling supporters they don't get permission. They're ground sharing with Tunbridge Angels, and what I like about this is that Welling has supposedly applied to or let the National League know they're going to ground share with Tunbridge, and they've also let the Isthmian League know they're going to ground share with Tunbridge. Well, what does that say about they think of their survival chances this season?
It tells you everything you need to know. Right there.
Brilliant, isn't it? Anyway, we're on the road again next week. Haven't been to Bath and Dover, going off in all directions the last few days. We're going to Dorset Coast next Tuesday, away to Weymouth, who've had an up and down season. They should steer clear of, they will steer clear of relegation, but they've hit a rich vein of consistency, conceded 4 goals in each of their last 2 league games. Haven't got a game this coming Saturday because they were due to play Maidstone, who've got games in some other competition, I think. Down the park, first day of season, we beat them 2-1. We could have got something out of that. Bobby Wilkinson, I think he saw us, he's their manager, I think he saw us play at Hampton the other week. So you have a pretty up-to-date view of how we're playing. What do we think of this one?
I think this could be one of those, like Lee sort of said earlier, about squad management. I think these next couple of games, Weymouth on Tuesday night is not exactly the most appealing of fixtures, is it?
No,
Yeah.
really?
and you've got to use your squad accordingly because the game against Welling could be a real battle. So I wouldn't be shocked to see some changes for Tuesday night. We could see someone like Berger potentially come in and start. So it'd be quite interesting to see. We could see a Canby return to the bench. But again, these two games, if we want to get a top 7 finish, you've got to be looking at you want to be getting 4 points, don't you? Just from these two, I think, at least in terms of results, because there are tougher games coming up and you will get those points on the board. But I don't envy anyone that's going to make that trip next Tuesday at all.
That sounds like you're not buying a railway ticket, Jake.
Do you know what? I think I might give this one a miss.
Tavs, is there space in the Podmobile for a burly but yet dashing fellow podster? Because you know what, mate? Listen, what can go wrong? Tavs and I, we have a great turn when we go in the Podmobile. It's great. There's banter. There's swear words. He hits me. Brilliant.
I thought he meant Neil at the Hearts Out. I thought he wanted to go to one of our games.
Anyway,
there are three seats available, Lee, at an extortionate price, and yeah.
Well, I only need one, mate. I know I'm carrying a little bit of weight, but one's absolutely fine, buddy.
For sleeping on the way back, you're going to need a whole of that back seat. Right. Right, let's do some predictions then. I've got a piece of paper here somewhere. Welling United, Saturday. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, Welling will win by the odd goal. 2-1, possibly even 3-2. But I think it's going to be tight, boys. I honestly do.
All right, I'll put you down as 2-1. Jake, a rare game you're going to go to. What have you got for Saturday?
Annoyingly, I was going to say 2-1 as well. So instead, I'll say 2-0. 2-0 Saints.
Welling, they'll still be on a high. Like we were arrogant at Bath, they're going to be arrogant on Saturday. So a 4-1 win. Weymouth on Tuesday.
What's in that cup?
Long journey. I remember once, where was it? Western-super-Mare we play, I think it was. I think you came with me, Jake. Maybe you didn't. It might have been somebody else in the Hearts had years ago. And we got delayed in traffic. We got there late, and the kickoff was about 45 minutes late. And you had a nice picture of a referee and 2 linesmen sitting on proper chairs, so by a touchline, taking it all in. And in a way, getting there late for an away game works in your favour. The home team are out there, they're prepared, they got to go back in, they come back in, and you just turn up and play and do what we did, get them a damn good stuff in. But obviously that's not going to happen next Tuesday because we're organised, we're going to get there on time. And the score is going to be what, Jake?
Well, I would take a 1-1, I think, in that game. Although I'm enjoying your tactic, David, advising the coach driver to find traffic next Tuesday. I like that.
Right, if you're not in the Podmobile, Lee, and you're driving the coach, what would you expect when you get there?
Oh, to go the wrong way, most certainly. My navigational skills are actually next to nothing, mate. Yeah, okay. I mean, I think I mentioned this to young Jacob on Saturday. I'm more nervous about the Weymouth midweek game than I was about the Dover. Weymouth has still got a bit of something about them, if I'm honest. Optimistically, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. Optimistically.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go for a goal frenzy again, a 3-0 win. That's 7-1 aggregate win for us over these 2 games.
Tavs, listen, mate, I like drinking it in the afternoon as much as anybody, but whatever's in that cup, mate, I tell you, I'm not entirely sure. I like this newfangled positive, Tavs, if I'm honest. Jake?
No.
Jake, I think it was one of you two mentioned the attendance at Dover last night was 410. Saturday at Bath, it was 1,410. Our previous away game at Hampton was 410.
No,
what is going on?
Yeah? That's a bit weird.
What is going on?
That's really weird.
Oh. Yeah.
Are you suggesting there's some sort of manipulation of the attendances, David? That'd be not like you at all, my friend.
No, just coincidence.
Deary me.
And what way? Go on.
No, you go ahead, Dave.
I'll just say at Weymouth next week. It won't hit 1,000 for a midweek game against us. Probably about 872 and a half.
I was going to say, we better mention before we move on from football that 2 players left the club last week, didn't they? We've got to mention. Nathan Carlisle went to Havant on loan, which was an interesting one. And I think it was one we sort of saw coming, didn't we? Maybe not to Havant, but I think we saw that he was going to leave once Francis Clark came in. Also, Romeo Akinola went on loan to Hendon last week as well. So it'd be good to see him actually out on the pitch for the first time. And I think it is actually 2 years, or not far off 2 years. So best of luck to them, especially Romeo, who hopefully does quite well.
I haven't looked at Hendon's team from last night, but of course they finally played their FA Trophy tie with Willstone at Grosvenor Vale. And Nobby's boys, David Noble's Willstone, finally won a game under him, 4-0 win, pretty much as expected, one would have thought. And of course, that's the Allenson family coming up against David Noble. Right, good luck to those boys out on loan. Will we see them next season? In City colours. Don't know. You've got, you might as well do it now. You've got something coming up tomorrow night down the park, on Thursday night down the park. What's going on down there?
Yeah, there's a fans forum, isn't there? So for anyone that watches this before 7:30 Thursday, so tomorrow, get down to Clarence Park, see what the fans forum's all about if you haven't been before. Or for those regulars, go down, hopefully find some
strippers and it's beers. It's great. No problem.
Hopefully find some interesting things. Lawrence Levy, Jon Meakes and Matt Big are all there and will be answering questions. So hopefully it should be a fairly interesting evening.
Right. One piece of sad news came through today. Former City player Steve Murphy notified me that former Saints manager Jimmy Howard passed away earlier today. Commiserations to all his family, and Matt, who we remember well, played 120 odd games for the club. We send our condolences to them. Jimmy was manager from May 1990 through to February 1991. He replaced Peter Lawrence, hi to Lasher if you're watching, and was replaced at the end of his spell by John Mitchell, who came back for a second time. So condolences to the Howard family. Right. Have we got anything else to add?
I don't think so. Lee, have you got anything?
Just another thank you to all the people that come up and approach us on the terraces. It means very little to you, but it means a lot to us because, you know, as I say, it is quite a bit of an investment. And also, we're now on Spotify. We listen. Yes. You spoke. We've listened, or Jacob has listened, and we're now on Spotify. So Jake's going to give you all the details about how to catch us.
Yes, Podful of Saints on Twitter, email below, and as Lee says, you can now follow us on Spotify. You can listen to us on there. It's at A Podful of Saints or A Podful of Saints on Spotify. Give us a search. You'll find us on there. We'll pop the link in the description to this as well. Try and click it and see if you can find it. And yeah, if you want to listen to us on there instead of YouTube, give it a go. But as Lee said, we really appreciate everyone listening and watching, and yeah, we really enjoy it. So
look at us, Tabs, getting all like, techno.
Right, okay then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, what's he doing now?
Shaun Jeffers, 99 goals. Is he going to become the 8th City player to reach 100 of goals this weekend? In which of the 2 games are you going to put your money on him scoring?
Oh, Welling at home. Yeah. I'm not. Weymouth's pitch is a quagmire at the best of time in the height of summer. I'm not betting anything on him getting anything but maybe a broken ankle down there on Tuesday night. Clarence Park, she's going to welcome him with open arms. 100 of the finest goals you'll see by any striker in the yellow and blue.
Which game are you going to go for, Lee? Jake? Sorry.
I'll go Welling, and I'm going to say he's going to score 2. And I think it is extraordinary that he is now the second top goal scorer in the National League South, given how little of the time he spent in the team this season. It's amazing. So fair play, Shaun. Pretty good at this, isn't you?
Well, the one player above him, Ollie Pearce at Worthing, my God, he's banging them in. He's got about 3 hat-tricks, I think, since the start of December. He's really come awake.
Oh yeah, but if
it's
you
okay.
play your strikers, then that's what's going to happen, right? Surely.
And anyway, we don't care about him. On that note,
No.
right, let's end this shambles. We will speak to you again next week after the Weymouth game at some point. And yeah, speak to you then. Goodbye, everyone. Come on, you Saints.